Welcome to FranchiseWire Live, your source for all things franchising. Remember to subscribe to FranchiseWire Live on YouTube. You can also follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. And for the latest in news, events, and happenings in franchising, bookmark FranchiseWire.com. Now here's the host of FranchiseWire Live, IFPG President, Red Boswell.
Welcome to FranchiseWire Live. I'm your host, Red Boswell, president of the International Franchise Professionals Group, IFPG. We're joined today. Wait a minute. We've got a sponsor. You know it. Yellow Bee Marketing. Are they up here? Somewhere right up there? Yellow Bee Marketing. Their website's pretty easy. yellowbee.marketing.com. Optimizing websites, building websites, guaranteeing SEO, guaranteeing results on Google first page. Good folks. Check out Yellow Bee Marketing. And now while you're here, little different intro today, shall we? You know I got to do it. Yo, what's shaking, AC?
Wait, am I on with Robert?
I always wanted to do that. Now I've lived.
Yeah. No, and then at the end we'll do like Go Be Awesome.
Oh, I'm down with it.
Okay, we'll do the countdown. Okay. Sounds good.
Nice. And you didn't know I was going to do that.
No, that was a good surprise.
Okay, Angela Cote, that way. Angela Cote with, she does, I was gonna say she does a bunch of things, but franchise growth catalysts encompasses who she is. Angela, thanks for joining FranchiseWire Live.
I'm stoked to be here. And what's really fun is when you say, like when I go to conferences and people are like, and who are you with? And I'm like, I'm with Angela Cote Inc. It's a little awkward, but it's working. It's getting there.
Right on. Yeah. Michael Side says the same thing. He's like, I'm with MSA. And what does that stand for? My name.
Yeah. It works for some. Oprah, Tony Robbins. There's a few of them out there. I'm working my way up.
That's right. Yeah. That would be nice if you could have, what's Oprah's last name spelled backwards? That's the name of her. Harpo. Is the name of her company. So what would Angela be backwards?
Oh, I don't know. And then,
I'll let Jenna.
Yeah, there you go. I'll let you figure that out.
Hey, Dare. Red could be Dare.
Yeah,
Dare
that's
Production.
Cool. Like it sounds like DARE, so that's cool. Like dare ya, I dare ya.
Dare.
Or is that the Canadian way of saying it?
Yeah, it's the not so smart Dare. So anyway, why are we here, gang? We are here. FranchiseWire exists to bless the franchise community, give guidance, insights, maybe have a little fun, get to know leaders in franchising. And we've certainly got one today. I've known Angela for many years, get to see her at all the great events and certainly see her all over the place online, giving advice. And she does what we do. She blesses the franchise community and entertains while she's doing it. Her and Rob, her and her little individual in the car videos. So we appreciate Angela. Tell folks who you are, what you do.
Well, first of all, now that I think about it, maybe I should have done this in the car today just to be like really on brand. But anyway, here we are. Okay. Thank you for the introduction and the kind words. I feel blessed to be on this podcast and to have been called a leader. You just called me, you said leaders and smart people. I don't know. I feel like I'm in a whole new category now, but that's cool. So the work that I do is primarily, I'll start here. The work that I do is primarily really to help people get franchising right, whether that's early stage or they're at 100 units or more, or even 300 or whatever. And they've got franchisees that are, there's a lack of connection, or they're having trouble engaging, and money's being left on the table, with the franchisees in their territories, and something's not right. That's one of my favorite things, is to go in and understand better why that's happening. So my background comes from having grown up in franchising. Company my dad founded that I was very involved in the growth of. We grew to almost 500 locations in Canada, became an iconic Canadian brand. There's not too many people that in Canada you say M&M Food Market and they don't know what it is. So just to kind of give some context, that's where it comes from. You may have heard me talk about dressing up.
Hold up. She said a boot.
Oh, does that mean we got a drink? Okay. You never know what's in my bubbly.
On the happy hours we do in the supplier forum, if any Canadian gets on there and says about or a boat, anything but about,
then
we got a drink. So thank you, Angela,
for allowing me
to some
Maybe
coffee.
a couple more times. I'll give you a few more of those as we go. I'll see if I can, what I can do for you. Okay. So you might have heard me talk about growing up and dressing up as Kelly Kebab at grand openings. I got to throw in a quick funny thing. My dad, when he started the company, my dad is Mac. So Mac and Mark, initially it was called M&M Meat Shops, Meats and Fixins. Fixins. And my dad had an affinity for Texas. Ooh, yeah. And so when he first started the company back in 1980, he had this thing that like people thought of like steak and meat and all that came from like, it was like a Texan thing. I don't know. So we actually had here, I gotta show you this. I have this. This was our mascot. So this is the original logo. Oh, that's in French.
Nice.
The horseradish of all things we sold, but that is Too Tall Tex. Sorry, am I holding that? Can you
Too
see
Tall
it?
Tex. I see him. He looks good.
Yeah. So, I mean, he got removed in about 1995, and we rebranded and then have rebranded a couple times since then.
Well,
but
you shared some visual aids. I'm going to do the same. Check this out. And it's also Texas related.
okay. And for anybody that's just listening on the podcast now, they're going to have to go find the video.
And by the way, she's in Canada in case you hadn't figured it out. I'm in Texas, So this is everybody I know in Texas.
Yep.
This encompasses what they're thinking right now.
Oh, that is really funny. I'm afraid to say anything political. I don't know if that's political.
There's a mass exodus happening in California and they all want to come to Texas. So,
yeah.
But they forget why they're leaving California and they bring all their strange beliefs with them. So anyway, thanks for letting us rant, guys. This is an Angela rant.
Oh yeah. Well, it's like it's a Ange and Red rants instead of Ange and Rob rants. Sorry, Robert, but
on Robert, two-timing.
Yeah. No, that is funny. Because if that dilutes your culture, you're going to be pretty upset about that, aren't you? Yeah. Okay. Do you want me to finish my story?
Please share with us. Yeah. How this has evolved, because a few years ago you were talking about your true traditional consulting and franchising. And I said, be careful. That is a hard nut to crack.
Yeah, a lot of people said that to me. And so it went from, and one thing I skipped over is that I did also have 3 of my own franchises of the brand of M&M at the time, Meat Shops, we were called.
Uh-oh, I think she froze. Hey, this hadn't happened in a little while. Angela has frozen. She's in Canada, so that's not that rare, but I think we're still recording. So, now she's back. Hey, Angela, being in Canada, you're probably used to freezing, but you froze for about 8 seconds.
Okay. Did you catch that I was a multi-unit franchisee and brought the chain to Vancouver Island? And then when I was starting to kind of get to restless and was ready time to do my next thing, I started networking in my local business community, just kind of trying to figure out, I'm like, I got to do something different now. I've done this in my mind, it was like retail my whole life. And I hadn't thought of it as franchising. I was always thinking of it like I had this retail experience. And so I was trying to change directions, networking, and people were coming up to me and saying, wait a minute, you're back. Because I would sort of throw in my background and they'd say, you come from M&M Meat Shops. You must know how to franchise a business. I was like, oh, maybe. So then people would take me out for a coffee or a glass of wine and I would share my insights, and it turned into, okay, so maybe I can do this. I can help people. And initially I thought I'll just do it in my either city or province of British Columbia, but somehow within about 6 months, I found myself at Springboard, and that's probably where you and I met in Philadelphia. Our mutual friend, Jim Hashmi, was the one that told me about Springboard when I met him. And I guess that was a springboard for me, because then here we are, I think it's about 5 years ago that was, here we are. And so now, I work with everything from emerging franchisors to, as I mentioned, established franchisors who need help with their franchisees. But I'm building a team, and we can talk about that after. But it's not all me doing all this work, because that'd be a lot.
Well, you've got your hands in a lot of things. I love the rants that you and Rob do. They're fun, entertaining, educational. So, guys, if you haven't seen the Ange and Rob rant, you have a website.
Yeah, we do. Actually, if you just ANGE and Rob, ROB, rants, there is a website. It's also linked through my website, which is angelacote.com, COTE. Yeah, or if you find either of us on any social media and then just kind of go looking, there will be a rant, because we do one every week. So.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So they're about once a week, right? So
Yeah. And
oh,
thank you for saying that they're educational, because our goal is to make them, slightly entertaining, but also make sure that people don't say that was a waste of time. That's the hope.
yes, exactly. And they're insightful. I like the insightful button underneath,
Yeah. Yeah. You're good at using those alternative buttons. Like, you don't always just use like. I like that.
No, everybody likes. I mean,
Yeah.
if they just like, I don't really know if they watched it. It's like, okay,
Mhm.
I'm but curious if you left some open-ended. So anyway, it's
Yeah.
just showing that I care a little more than most.
Cool. Yeah. Love it.
Angela, you have such a purview dealing with so many franchisors. In fact, to help folks put it in perspective better, you also have created some unique Zor roundtables and even maybe supplier roundtables where you and your team facilitate whatever the hot topics are and let the Zors talk it out. What
Mhm.
a blessing to franchising. Do you see what can you tell us about that? Obviously, none of these franchise wires are promotion videos, but they are, it is a cool service you provide, and you probably get some amazing insights on the franchise community because of all the different Zors you are able to listen to and hear about their fears and their problems and their insecurities. What can you tell us on that?
Well, thank you. It started because in around February, early March, I was on the brink of starting to launch these mastermind groups, which you and I've chatted a little bit about. They're called Play Bigger, for small cohort of franchisors, and that was in the works. But then when COVID hit, I was like, oh man, I'm not going to launch something new. Everybody's just dealing with uncertainty. We were all in shock. And so one of my things that I just love is to bring people together and create community. And I mean, even when I was a young, teenager, I was always bringing everyone. My dad called me the ringleader. I didn't see it that way, but now when I think back, I was always bringing people together. So I think I just have this sense of like, people need to help each other right now. So the week of March 16th, I did it 3 times. I just called it like an emergency crisis roundtable. It was not intentional to be going on till now, which it is still going on. And the first few just had maybe 10 people in them. And now they're once a week and they're averaging maybe 20, 25 people, and some regulars. And then some people who return periodically. They're free. So it was all
They're
about.
free?
Yeah, these are free. Yeah. So
I thought there was a financial requirement.
Well, that's the Play Bigger groups. So
Ah,
the Play Bigger groups, which are separate, those are a small cohort that you sign up for and you commit to, and there's accountability and results and all these things. The roundtables are just like a roundtable at a conference. You walk up, you choose if you want to stay the whole time. You choose your topic. There's no accountability. There's no membership or anything like that. We're just
hmm,
doing it I mean, initially it was like a crisis thing, and it was like, I can't do anything else right now for people sitting in my home office in Victoria. So what can I do? So brought people together, and it was really cool because this part's not maybe cool, but the first 6 weeks or so, it was always crisis oriented. How are you getting PPP for your franchise? How are you helping your franchisees? How are you dealing with the mental health, anxiety people are going through? And are you doing friend dev right now? How are you doing that? How is it changing? So it was more crisis mode. And then I was just, initially, I didn't even have topics. I was just like, what do you guys need to talk about today?
yeah, right.
Okay. And then I was like, I'd be sort of secretly nervous, hoping I could keep people
Yeah,
going.
right.
Figured that out, fortunately. That's another one of my, I think, things is facilitating. So then it morphed into like, somebody would say, like, Peter Holt was there and Pete Baldine was there. And Pete's like, Peter, you just started talking about what you're doing for training. At the next roundtable, could you walk us through that? So then we started to have kind of like presenters, not
Hmm.
big high level speakers, just peers. And then it kept going. And so now sometimes we have a presenter, and it's always franchisors only. I feel bad because I kept it tight, but the franchisors want that and love it. So I was like,
Nice.
if I start bringing in vendors, as awesome as my fellow vendors are with their subject matter expertise,
Yeah.
that's just a whole, like, another can of, like, how do
Yeah.
I regulate all of that? And then the franchisors like the community. So
Right.
just saying but anyway, it's really landed on being topics. I come up with a topic or people ask for a topic.
Right.
Sometimes there's a presenter, sometimes not. But what's I'm sorry, I'm going on and on, but I got to say this part because maybe this will help people if they're trying to facilitate roundtables.
Okay.
One of the things that I have, figured out, or almost want to say crack the code on, is you either have a roundtable or a presentation. When you start doing too much presenting in a roundtable, people do this. They sit back and they go into listen mode. And my whole purpose for this has been the collaboration and the shared wins and challenges and insights. And the minute you put in a presenter, people don't do that.
Right.
And I've learned that I've been doing them since March. So every week I've learned that is something. So I want to keep it as a collaborative, because anyone
that's a good facilitator that can rein them in. You start seeing them go, they're 2 minutes in and they hadn't gotten their second wind, and you're like,
I interrupt. You can, if you look at like any of the people that have been on there, like Justin Livingston and like great people. And I'm like, they come on like 5 minutes before everybody else. And I say, just so you know, like, I really want to keep this chatty and conversational. So I might just jump in and go, wait, like Marcos Murrow was on there. And he was like, that's fine. You can jump in anytime. So I was like, wait, Marcus, you just said something that I know everybody's wondering, because I know what people ask. And so they're going to want to know this. And he's like, oh, great question. And then, he answers it, or
you mentioned that they were birthed out of the crisis, and this very program we're on today was birthed out of the crisis back in March. Don, our founder, and I got together. So what can we do? And people need guidance, advice, what others. And so we started the original name. This is actually the third rendition. The original name was COVID-19 Franchise Leaders Respond. Did about 50 or 30 of those. And then we said, COVID is such an ugly word. Nobody wants to hear that word again, and so we changed it to the hashtag we had always used anyway for it was Franchising Stronger Together.
Yes.
And we still use that hashtag on this today, but so we've had over 100 episodes, but this is probably FranchiseWire, maybe number 18 or 19. That name, because of course, FranchiseWire.com is a PR website that we've built, and it's about getting news out to the community. So this is one more way we bless the community.
I'm glad you explained that, because I knew that you are awesome at giving back to the community and giving your content. I think you and I are very similar in that we aren't afraid to just pull up I've seen you so many times do this as well, right? Just pull up the phone at in-person conferences and go like, here's what's happening, and not being afraid to do that. And I knew you've been doing different things, but I'm glad now I understand that evolution. That explains it.
Thank you. And we'll always have a Jack Monson or some other scoundrel in the background doing jumping in on it. And what is that called? A
photobomb or
thank you.
Yeah.
Coffee stat.
Kind of a bomb. Yeah. Yeah.
Angela, what else is, you have a passion for franchising like I do. What else is going on in the world of franchising that you see that you can maybe give some insight, maybe the hot topics within the roundtables?
Yeah. I guess when I think about the roundtables, this is one thing that I'm really tuning in a lot to, and it might not sound like rocket science, which I say this a lot. I think my insights I don't get really deep in my insights. I give sometimes the obvious, but I think people appreciate that because they're like, yeah, it's actually simple. Like I like keep things simple. So that this might sound that way, but I think that people are cluing in to the importance of coaching. So one of my recent roundtables was support versus coaching. And a lot of franchisors, this is something I've really noticed over the last couple of years, especially emerging franchisors, but I've seen it in established over 100 units, same thing, where they're like their idea of support is, or when you say like, what are you doing to support your franchisees? And they're like, we have a good operations manual. They've got my cell number. They can call me when they need me. We provide them graphics for marketing. All the templates are there, training, all this, but they're not coaching them. Some people are not. And so we had Paul Pickett and his VP or Director of Operations, Krista Anderson, and of Wild Birds Unlimited, and Dan Monahan. No, sorry, not Dan Monahan. He's been on as well. But we had Mark Spack from Tutor Doctor. He's the VP of Global Operations there. And they both shared how they're doing coaching, active coaching, and then they have hotline support. And I'm sort of simplifying that, but so the franchisee can choose the active coaching. They don't pay more for it. But they can choose it. But they're done with forcing coaching on franchisees that are not going to engage with it and waste their time and money. So if the franchisee chooses the active coaching, then you're going to be accountable. You're going to show up, and in the moment, you're going to be there. You're not going to be distracted, and you're going to create your goals, but I'm going to support you on that. And we're going to help you grow.
Yeah.
Or you can choose just hotline support, and that's fine, but we are going to watch for your compliance, and we can still be friends. There's no penalty, but we're not going to waste our time if you're not going to commit.
Wow. It's really proactive versus reactive. We're here if you have an emergency, but if you want to be proactive and get after it, bring it on, because we're here to support you with that too. But you can lead a horse to water. If they're not interested in drinking, why even lead them to water?
It's that time, right? So it was cool. The roundtable, we got to see Mark lifted the hood right into, sharing on the screen the spreadsheets and things they use in their weekly calls with their franchisees. So all the other franchisors, they're probably watching this going, we're not doing this, so we better get on this, And one other thing about the roundtables, like quick side note, is I always ask everybody before I say there's sort of two rules. One is sort of a rule, cameras on. If you're coming to the round table, camera on. If you really can't have it on and you've been an active member of the community, I'll let you in, The second one though, is before you jump off, you can jump off early, but you must put your key action step in the chat. So from, say, that supporting coaching, it was things like, look into, how to do a better weekly call, like a lot of franchisors' weekly calls are just like, hey, how's it going? What do you need help with?
The best coaching I ever saw with my franchisees, and the most popular, the most impactful, always came from other franchisees.
Yeah. Right.
They don't care how much I know. Yeah, Red, we know you built the biggest franchise and whatever. You're the Zor.
Yeah. You don't understand.
Yeah. But I get those top performers on there, man. Suddenly everybody shows up. They're listening. They're taking notes. They're asking questions. And the top performer said the same thing I said, but all of a sudden they're listening.
And they usually want to help their peers because it helps the brand. And they often, when they're high performers, they recognize that they also learn from coaching. So on that note, I don't know if you've seen this, if this has been a little bit on my social media, but we just brought a top performing Tutor Doctor franchisee onto our team. She was with Tutor Doctor for 9 years. She had grown to 7 territories and sold her business almost a year ago, and had been playing around with some different things. And then we got connected, and it was like, and she's like, I loved mentoring my fellow franchisees. And I'm like, I need you.
Wow.
So I'm like, we can use you. I don't know exactly yet how, but I know a lot of franchisors that have, whether that's maybe the franchisee hires us directly, or the franchisor hires us, or they do a hybrid or whatever. We've got some different models we're testing, but she just has that passion. But she can speak I was a franchisee, but I think people might see that a little different because I was also the founder's daughter. So
sure, you didn't have the financial risk maybe that others had, or
perceived risk, but really, my dad was like, everybody's watching you, so the microscope's on you, you better work harder than everybody, don't embarrass me, kind of thing. I think I got a little bit traumatized and worked my butt off, but it would look like I had special privileges. Just people automatically assume that, whereas Jen was
I know you were out on Vancouver Island. This Texan's never been to Vancouver. Is that a big island?
It's got we've got about I think there's about 800,000 people on the island. No, that's a little high. Yeah, maybe 700. I don't know if someone's going to look it up and find it's 500. I might be wrong, but
1,000, like 500,000.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah,
so it's a good size.
Yeah, it's. It's gonna go like it's on my map, but I don't know if people can see. It's like I don't know if this makes any sense, but like, do you see this orange right here?
Yeah.
It's like this on my map here. It's like the whole finger.
I knew where it was, but I never really knew how big it was. Like, if this is, there's no grocery stores on Vancouver.
Oh, I've heard that. Yeah, no, I've heard that before. No, the city I live in has it's the greater Victoria area has about 350 or so thousand people in it. And then there's Nanaimo is another fairly decent sized city, maybe, I don't know, 180 or 200,000. And yeah, we've got at least 3 hospitals in Greater Victoria. So does that give you a sense?
Gotcha.
There you
Gotcha.
go.
You're
Yeah.
self-sustaining.
Oh yeah, we've got everything. We don't have an IKEA on the island. People make trips over to the mainland for IKEA, but other than that, we've got pretty much.
You got a decent airport?
Oh yeah, international airport. You can fly right to like Mexico, and
Sweet.
I don't know if there's direct flights.
I got to get up there.
It's beautiful. Yeah.
We drove by it a number of times, driving up to Whistler, but
okay, yeah. Well, okay. So you've been to the west coast of Canada at least.
Yeah, gorgeous, 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 gorgeous. I think of all the travel, perhaps it's definitely in my top 3 all-time global traveling was driving from Seattle along the coast to Vancouver. I mean, I was crying. It was so beautiful. I was stopped. Like every 100 yards, I'm stopping and getting out and I'm like calling my wife going, you don't understand. This is heaven.
You can't explain it. Like it's like the first time I drove from the Toronto area where I grew up to Western Canada. And I'm just, like it's breathtaking. You're like in a whole different world. You start to realize that like, I don't know, just the world isn't flat and, it's crazy. But I also love Texas. I don't know if I know I said about my dad going there but I went there almost every year until I was maybe in my early 20s.
What part?
Corpus Christi, Padre Island, which is where my dad had condos. Yeah. So nice. I have a funny story, or do you want to stay on content?
Bring it. What's up?
Okay. It's not content now. It's just entertainment. We're doing back and forth. So I probably shouldn't admit this, but I think I've already admitted it on a podcast before. So my dad had these condos in Corpus Christi on Padre Island, and we would go down there. My girlfriends and I, as we got a little older, my dad would let us stay in one condo and he would stay in another one of the condos. There were 3 and right on the beach and beautiful. And we would go, and my dad actually, this sounds really bougie or whatever. My dad had a Jeep there, like a little cute Wrangler Jeep. So we would go driving around on the beach and of course attract a lot of attention. And people we would meet somehow, of course, where you're from, they're expecting us to be from somewhere nearby state or something. And we're like Canada. And so they always like, when we go back the next year, sometimes we'd see the same people because it was spring break, right?
Sure,
like spring break kind of party stuff.
Locals,
yeah. Locals, right. And so my brother, who is an introvert and didn't really love going down to Texas as much. He didn't get a kick out of it the way I did. One year though, he did go around, he might've been 20, 21. He's a year and a half older than me. And he goes, and he's with a buddy and they're on the beach doing whatever. And they meet some people. The people are like, wait, you're from Canada? Do you know Angie Voisin, which is my maiden name? And he's like, of all the people, you know my sister. And you just proved, like, not really, but you kind of just proved what all Americans, especially Texans, think, that us Canadians all know each other.
Yeah.
And that we're all related.
I could totally relate. When I moved, wherever I'm at, people will say, oh, you're from Dallas. Do you know?
Yeah.
Well, yeah, there's 6 million people in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. Yeah, sure, I know them. Or,
well, you never know. It's worth asking, right?
Or even, oh, you went to Texas A&M, which I didn't go, but I mean, like I have friends like, you went to Texas. Yeah, I don't know your friend from Texas A&M. There's 80,000 students there. Come on, that's.
Yeah, and in different years, like they're all different years and all these things. So yeah. Anyway, yeah, that's crazy. But sorry, threw in a quick story. Are we doing any more content?
Now, if you say sorry, is that a drinking word too? Sorry?
Yeah. Sorry, because Canadians say sorry, but I also sorry, or how do we say it?
Sorry. Yeah.
That's how we say it?
No, you say sorry. Sorry.
Sorry.
Sorry.
Okay. Anyway.
It's a great way to say it. Hey,
yeah.
Nothing wrong with talking weird. So back on franchising predictions, talk about the future. Where do you see things going? I mean, 2021's upon us and everybody's saying it's going to be way better in 2020, but I just walked by the TV in our coffee room and I saw on the words across the screen, it said highest death rate ever broken yesterday, a new record of deaths. So we got some vaccine coming, but any insights onto the future that good or bad or otherwise?
Okay. Well, clearly the business, there's like there's almost like COVID positive businesses, right? Like you probably get to see that within IFPG, all your franchisors and just in the industry in general. And so I feel like there's this, it's like a K curve. So there's businesses, I can't do a K with my hands too good, but like there's businesses that are just on the down, and then there's businesses that are going up in terms of the recovery that we're going through. And the crazy thing is, it's not even just, you can't even just boil it down to a certain industry like fitness, because even in fitness, there's ones that are going to go up and there's ones that are going down. So
Right.
high overhead and group classes, those are going to go down right now. I mean, maybe in a couple of years come back. I don't know if I can really go that far, but the ones that are figuring out ways to do things, in these times. So I think there's a lot of definitely a lot of opportunity for all these businesses that are figuring it out, that are mobile, that are low overhead. It's going to be interesting to see with the lower interest rates and the more real estate available. I would think that that's going to make, I've got a client who has a daycare facility, and they just opened they've got 3 corporate centers, and they just opened their 3rd franchise like this week. And it's like a $1.5 to $2 million investment. So that kind of goes against what I'm saying about the low overhead. So I'm not giving like a super clear prediction, but I think it'll be interesting to see what happens with that, like sort of K curve growth. And I think it's important to think about how you've changed as a consumer when you're thinking about what, say like a franchisee, prospective franchisees listening to this, and you're thinking about which business to get into. It's like, how have we changed? Like, I know I for sure have gotten really accustomed to online shopping. Like I haven't really gone out shopping this Christmas, or
Yeah.
for the last, it's just such a pain in the, I'm not afraid of the virus, but it's such a pain in the butt.
Yeah. It's
So
so easy to do otherwise. Yeah.
I love small
I
business.
think item 19 is going to be more important than ever. I mean, it's always been a critical piece for the vast majority of opportunities, but all of a sudden, I want to see the real deal, and I want to see the most recent numbers. And have you updated it recently? And validations are probably going to be even more critical.
Yeah.
I'm blown away by how many, like you said, so many people think that fitness is in the gutter. Oh my gosh. In our elite membership, which is our top membership, we have more fitness brands than any other brand. And so many of them are thriving in this crazy time. They pivoted, they've got different incomes.
Wait, it said pivoted. Are we supposed to drink?
Oh, that is a drinking word. Yes.
Good thing this is just soda water, because
pivot.
And something in the morning for me right now.
Anyway. I was about to pivot. Sorry.
Yeah. But so fitness businesses that have pivoted, that have figured it out, you were saying?
Yeah. And even something like a $2.6 million investment with Urban Air. They're kicking some tail in some key markets.
Every time I open LinkedIn, they're celebrating another opening or something like that. Or like coffee shops are doing really well. And
any restaurant, of course, that's taking advantage of delivery and curbside pickup. I had breakfast yesterday with a buddy who has 15 Dominos, and he went from 20 to 30 drivers, I think per location, I forget, to 100. He hired 100 drivers. All locations are 100% increase, so at a 200% compared to any other year in the decade plus he's had them. He's just, that of course is an extreme example, but
I've heard a lot of those, and I always feel like you probably feel the same when you hear this. You feel almost bad for feel bad for the people that are struggling, whose businesses aren't in a situation where they can do anything about it. Yep. Although I think that the ones that saw that early and figured something out are doing okay. Like I saw that in the roundtables too, that the people that were showing up were the people that were like, I'm going to figure this out, versus people that were like, I can't even come out, and they're freaking out and all that. So there's a mindset thing for sure there. But
it's ugly when the government gets involved too and just tries and shuts you down. That's such, I can only imagine the frustration. And there's folks, walking over the picket line, so to speak, and saying, it's my business, I'm opening, it's kind of like take my guns out of my cold dead hands kind of approach.
Yeah. Well, Robert Bruschi, who we were talking about earlier, is a perfect example where, Control V, like they're in this weird sort of limbo space because they aren't classified. For the longest time, they couldn't open. They had bylaw officers watching them because certain of their locations, because they didn't fall in the right category when they were like doing the phases or the colors that open or whatever. So they couldn't. And they're a really safe. So I'm not trying to promote, but I just think it's a good example because they're a really safe space. You go in and you're by yourself in this, almost like a cubicle.
Yeah.
This clean mat. Like they were always really concerned with sanitizing, and this mask on your face, and you're just by yourself.
Yeah.
But people are afraid, either they're afraid or they're being told not to do that. And
they don't realize, you just got to over communicate like crazy, the safety measures that are in place. And
it'll be interesting to see with businesses like that, if people, if they'll come back, and I think they will, but I would hope they do, but it's versus like, sitting around in a restaurant, or that's another example, actually, like sitting around in restaurants, like, I don't know. Every places that you go is different. Right now in Victoria, we're supposed to be really like we're in this like back in like a tight lockdown almost. Right. But you can still go out and you go and you find those other people that want that energy of the people, and they're like they're there. You're being careful. You got your mask when you go to the restroom.
Yeah.
I was gonna say washrooms. We say that in Canada.
Little boys' room. Yeah.
Yeah, little boys' room. Yeah, but anyway, it's what weird times.
It is weird times, but the people who are pivoting and if they can, certainly the creative, the ambitious, there's it's a tough time, and our hearts go out to those who are struggling.
Yeah, I don't mean to make light of.
You're not.
People. Yeah, I think it's important though to be positive, like to have people like us that are talking about this, because for people that are struggling the economy is obviously taking a hit, and it will keep taking a hit, but there are some good things going on. And like you said, like, even FranchiseWire being originally born from wanting to help and bless the franchise industry and community and all these good things that are coming out of it. I like to focus on that stuff personally.
Agreed. Well, I get asked multiple times per day, certainly from folks looking to become a franchise consultant, how you doing? How's the franchising world doing? And I always preface it with there are those that are struggling, but I've never seen it better, from a development standpoint, and in many cases, opportunity standpoint. There are more people laid off and not getting a dream job, or people working from home saying, I love this, I don't want to go back. There are people who have more time, and time is a factor that gets in the way of discovering franchise opportunities because they're so covered up at work. And lending is good. 401ks are better than they've ever been, which is a huge funding source. I mean, there's just like so many things we didn't have in 08, 9, and 10 when the struggle was real for a lot more people anyway. So it's a blessing to be where we're at in franchising for sure.
Yeah, you just triggered another thing, and I'm sure you've talked about this on other episodes, but the fact that, like, I know broker like leads and closing went way up when COVID hit because of the personal relationship piece of it, right? Like you guys, everything went up for you, which is great. And I think that is another prediction that I would have, is that franchising is only getting more and more relationship based in terms of, finding connecting franchisees and franchisors, and then that support / coaching, like actual coaching where that's a relationship. And that's why we did so well at my family business. And I think that's why a lot of businesses don't do well, when they don't recognize the value of the relationship. But I think, like brokers and right from the broker all the way into like the coaching of franchising, I think this is something that if franchisors aren't paying attention to the importance of that, it's going to be.
You don't buy a house without a realtor. You don't buy a franchise without and the financial risk from the Zors standpoint is next to nothing compared to every other thing you advertise and spend money on. You're spending it hoping for a result. With the consultants, you got almost nothing in expense, and you only pay for success. So it's a neat model. We're blessed to be at the right place at the right time. And you know what? By the way, I know you asked me, is that background real? Is this real? Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Yes,
ma'am. Yeah. Is that
it's
microphone
all there?
Yeah. Okay. So, because that looks like very staged, and I love it. I think it's super cool.
I can't pat on my brick wall back
Okay.
here, but
So some of it is real, but yeah,
yes.
that microphone is super cool. I love, of course, it's red.
Of course. Thank you.
Right. But I have my red nails.
Okay. In
Yeah.
honor of me, thank you so much.
Yeah, it's a good color.
Right on. Well, hey, where are you traveling next? You got any plans for the new year and beyond in franchising?
Oh man. Well, the border depends if that opens. So I sure
Forgot the border's
Yeah.
not open. Wow.
The border's closed, but I will definitely make it the first trip I can when that option comes, because I definitely miss, being in person with people. Super blessed that the Zoom is an option, but
Yeah.
I have been building up a team, and I do have I think one guy right now in the US, but I'm sure that'll grow. So at least he can be the representative of our brand. So that's
Right
Keith.
on.
So I'll send him out. Keith, you're gonna have to wear pleather.
Pleather.
Pleather and red nails.
You are known for your pleather, girl.
Yeah.
Well, hopefully we can get Keith, and even more importantly, you at some of the IPG events. We have 11 in 2021. Last time I checked, the Giant Retreat in October, but 10 other regional events all over North America, except for Canada. We don't have any Canadian ones. We might have to change that.
I got a few connections here if you need, into franchising.
Nice.
But yeah, for now, I hope to make it to something like that. That sounds amazing.
Yeah, that'd be terrific.
Yeah.
Any final thoughts, my dear, as we wrap up FranchiseWire Live?
I think my final thought is going to be the outro. Do you want to help me with it? You know my outro, I think.
I get to do that too?
Yeah.
Okay, do we look at each other?
Yeah, and I do the count. Yeah, we look. Oh, you're
Look
like,
at
do we, like it's hurt. No, we just look at each other and we do a countdown. And I'm going to find out now, because I always try to figure out if on the one that I do on the Ange and Rob rants, if Robert is messing with me and purposely trying to not sync with the Go Be Awesome.
Or if he's just not very smart.
Yeah. So let's see. It's not a test it's a test for you, actually. It is a test for you, Red. Okay. Are you ready? I'm going to count us down.
Okay.
You
Yeah.
good? You ready? You want to practice?
Okay. So
no, we're not practicing.
Do we say 3, 2, 1? We actually say it.
Yeah, I'm going to say 3, 2, 1, and then we're going to say Go Be Awesome.
Okay.
We're not even going to practice. I'm not giving you that. We're going
3, 2, 1. Go be awesome. That was so weak. Did we do it right? That was kind of weak. I'm going to do it again. Yeah.
Okay.
3,
2, 1. Go be awesome. See? It is.
This is an IQ test that I'm not doing well at.
You want to try one more time?
I'm looking at your mouth when you say it so I can sync it with it, but maybe it's delayed with the audio.
Okay. You want to try one more time?
Now this is a big question. Like when I'm jumping off a cliff and things, do you jump on 3 or do you jump on the unheard 4?
Oh, I go, okay. In my head, 3, 2, 1, and then we say Go Be Awesome. So it's
Go is on 4. Go is on the downbeat, right? So
yeah.
1, 2, 3, Go Be Awesome. Right. Okay. This is a project we got going on here. All right. 3, 2, 1. Go be awesome.
Awesome. We did it.
Did we do it? Okay. Well, they can vote down below. Check out Yellow Bee Marketing, yellowbeemarketing.com. Our friends over there. Scott's awesome. FranchiseWire Live, IFPG Radio, IFPG President, Red Boswell, and the real champion of the hour, Miss Angela Cote with Franchise Growth Advisors. Thanks, Angela.
Thank you.
Go be awesome.
Yes.